Welcome back. If the day has been too loud, let it fade behind you now. The moon has already risen, not as a decoration in the sky, but as the oldest witness of Earth's restless story. She is both mirror and memory, a quiet companion who never interrupts. Tonight, we won't chase productivity or understanding. We'll drift through 100 pieces of lunar truth, each fact a small light in the dark. The moon is familiar, yet every glance at her is a form of discovery, like recognizing an old friend across centuries. So breathe once, slowly. Let's begin with the simplest thing, distance and what it teaches us about connection. 239,000 miles of gentle distance. The moon keeps her polite distance, about 239,000 miles, 384,400 kilometers away. And every year she drifts another inch and a half, 3.8 centimeters, farther. It's the slowest kind of goodbye imaginable. This drift isn't neglect, it's balance. Earth's rotation gives her a little push each day, transferring energy into her orbit, and she responds by stepping back. One day, billions of years from now, our tides will weaken, and the oceans will breathe more slowly. Even separation can be a form of love, a gravitational tenderness written across the dark. A quarter in size, equal in presence. With a diameter of 2,160 miles, 3,474 kilometers, the moon is just 1/4 the width of Earth, yet she commands half the sky. Most moons are crumbs orbiting their planets. Ours is a partner. Together, Earth and Moon form a binary system, two dancers circling a shared balance point, a barycenter center that floats just beneath Earth's surface. It's less a hierarchy than a duet. Perhaps every lasting relationship, cosmic or human, depends on finding that invisible midpoint where weight becomes rhythm. Heat and cold, the breathing cycle of a lifeless world. Daylight on the moon burns at 260 degrees, 27 degrees. Night plummets to 280 degrees, 173 degrees. There is no atmosphere to carry warmth or whisper wind. Each sunrise is an ignition, each nightfall an extinction. Every rock endures the violence of contrast, a meditation in extremes. When we look at the moon, we see the geology of emotion, a world forever oscillating between fever and silence. Perhaps that's why humans have always looked up and recognized themselves there. Silence is a physical law. If you stood on the lunar surface, even the crash of a meteorite would reach you as perfect quiet. No air, no medium, no sound. Silence here isn't poetic, it's literal. Radio astronomers dream of this silence, philosophers envy it. It's the only nearby place where the universe still speaks in vacuum tones. Maybe that's why astronauts, after returning, often pause before answering simple questions. Once you've heard absolute nothing, words feel like noise. The face that never turns away. The moon spins once on her axis for every orbit she makes around Earth, a phenomenon called tidal locking. Over millions of years, gravitational friction slowed her rotation until one hemisphere settled into perpetual gaze. We see her face but never her mind. The far side, rugged and unknown, revealed only by machines. Constancy, it seems, requires sacrifice. To always show the same light, one must hide half the self. The moon teaches us the delicate art of exposure and reserve, to reveal enough to connect and enough to remain mysterious. Take a breath. Feel your chest rise, the slow gravity inside you. The moon keeps circling, unhurried, keeping pace with your pulse. Between each fact there is space, like the darkness between stars, necessary, silent, and alive. Let your thoughts drift there for a moment before we continue. The illusion of size, a trick of the human horizon. When you watch the moon rise, it looks impossibly huge, swollen, magnificent, as if it's drifting closer to touch the horizon. But the truth is, it never changes size. This is the moon illusion, a trick of perception born from the way our brains judge scale. When the moon hangs low, we compare it to trees, rooftops, or mountains. Our minds stretch its grandeur to match the things we know. High overhead, stripped of reference, the same moon looks smaller. It isn't distance that changes, it's context. The brain, like the universe, bends to perspective. Maybe that's why we keep looking up. Not to see the moon as it is, but as we need it to be. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the moon hanging just above the edge of your sight. Not distant, not close, simply there. You don't have to understand the illusion. Just feel it. The gentle deceit that makes beauty seem larger when framed by the familiar. The lunar day, time that moves without hurry. A single day on the moon lasts about 29.5 Earth days. Sunrise to sunrise. Half of that time, the surface bakes in light. The other half, it freezes in shadow. Where we measure days by clocks, the moon measures them by patience. Time up there is a long exhale. The moon's slow rotation turns the concept of morning into something almost spiritual. A reminder that rhythm doesn't need precision to be beautiful. For astronauts, that cycle feels endless. For poets, it feels like eternity stretched thin enough to touch. The first calendar, when the moon taught us time, long before we understood orbit or rotation, the moon taught humans how to count. The first calendars carved into bone and stone, 30,000 years old, followed her waxing and waning. Her changing face was a visible heartbeat, one that even nomads could trust. Every civilization that rose and fell carried her light into its rituals. Months, harvests, tides, births, mourning. The moon was our first teacher of recurrence, of return, of cycle. Even now in our digital age, we still say once in a blue moon, a phrase older than writing itself. She taught us that not all repetition is monotony. Some patterns are sacred. The perfect coincidence. When the sun and moon align, the sun is about 400 times wider than the moon, but also about 400 times farther away. That miraculous ratio makes them appear the same size in our sky. It's a cosmic coincidence so precise that it allows total solar eclipses, those rare moments when the moon perfectly covers the sun, leaving only a burning halo. No other planet in our solar system has such symmetry between its star and its satellite. It's as if geometry itself conspired to create wonder. We live in a system tuned not for survival alone, but for astonishment. Take another breath. You're still on Earth, but imagine standing in the moon's shadow, looking up through that impossible alignment. Everything goes silent. Birds stop, wind stills, light folds. It's the kind of silence that reminds you how temporary even the sun's certainty can be. The moon is Earth's anchor. Without the moon, Earth would wobble like an unbalanced top. Her gravitational pull steadies our axial tilt, about 23.5 degrees, keeping our seasons consistent, our climate stable, our oceans rhythmic. If the moon vanished, chaos would seep quietly into the atmosphere. Winters colder, summers harsher, tides irregular, migration patterns shattered. Life, as we know it, might still exist, but it would be restless, uneasy. In a way, the moon is Earth's emotional regulator, a cosmic metronome keeping time for all that breathes. She doesn't just light the night, she steadies the day. The moon has no atmosphere, no sound, no scent, and yet she shapes the rhythm of oceans, calendars, moods, and myths. She is absence-made influence, a cold, silent rock, and at the same time our oldest mirror. Each crater holds history, each orbit a ritual. Every night she returns, unchanged yet never identical, whispering the same truth in infinite tones. That light is not about brightness, but about reflection. And in her quiet way, the moon keeps teaching us how to exist, not by shining on our own, but by holding the light we're given and giving it back, softly. If Chapter 1 was about distance, this one is about touch. For all our talk of going to the moon, only 12 people have actually walked upon her. 12 small sets of footprints pressed into powder finer than flour. There is no wind to erase them, no rain to wash them away. Each print could last for 10 million years, a silent proof that humanity once reached upward, if only briefly. The moon, you see, does not forget. She remembers everything that touches her, not through emotion, but through physics. Dust, light, and shadow are her archivists. Let's see what they've been keeping for us. Dust finer than regret. Lunar dust, or regolith, is not soft like earthly soil. It's made of crushed glass and sharp-edged fragments ground by eons of meteor impacts. Each grain is jagged, hungry, and electrostatically charged by the solar wind. Astronauts described it as smelling faintly of gunpowder when they brought it inside their lander suits. Though it's not smell in the air, there's none, but chemical reaction when dust met oxygen for the first time in billions of years. It clung to everything: gloves, visors, lungs. The moon gave them souvenirs that scratched. The surface is alive with static. When sunlight hits the moon, ultraviolet radiation charges the dust. The particles begin to levitate, tiny grains floating inches, sometimes feet, above the surface before falling back down. Astronaut Eugene Cernan once described it as a mist that isn't a mist, a haze made of motion instead of air. It's an atmosphere made entirely of electricity, a ghostly shimmer that rises and falls with lunar dawn. The moon breathes in static, and her breath smells of electrons. Shadows that will never end. On the moon, shadows are not soft. With no atmosphere to scatter light, they are pure black, edges so sharp they could cut geometry itself. And in the craters near the poles, there are places the sun hasn't touched in billions of years. These permanently shadowed regions stay colder than 400 Darrow, 240 Darrow, colder than Pluto. Inside them, water ice and ancient molecules lie preserved like cosmic fossils. The absence of light becomes a kind of time capsule where even darkness has texture. The sound of silence measured in vibrations. After the Apollo missions, seismometers left on the moon recorded something strange: moonquakes. Some were shallow, some deep, some triggered by meteor impacts. But the sound, if you could call it that, would be eerie. Unlike Earth, the moon rings. Vibrations from a single quake can echo for up to an hour because its dry, fractured crust doesn't absorb energy. It resonates like a bell. When Apollo 12's discarded ascent stage crashed, scientists said the moon rang like a gong. It's as if the entire body hums in slow motion, a stone tuned to silence. The footprints that outlive nations. Every footprint, rover track, or drop tool on the moon remains right where it fell. No wind will blur it, no erosion will reclaim it. The trails of Apollo 11 still stretch from the lunar module to the flag, though the flag itself, bleached by radiation, has likely turned bone white. Even Neil Armstrong's first step endures, surrounded by the stillness of eternity. It's humbling to think that long after Earth's cities crumble, long after our languages dissolve, those faint depressions will still whisper, "Someone once stood here." Take a slow breath. Imagine brushing your hand through that gray dust. Every motion immortalized, every mistake eternal. Here, time doesn't erase, it archives. The moon is not forgiving, but she is faithful. Every mark is kept, every shadow remembered. Sunlight is architecture. On Earth, light wraps around corners, air diffuses it into gradients. But on the moon, light behaves like stone. It draws hard lines, walls of illumination and pure darkness only inches apart. Astronauts spoke of stepping from brilliance into blackness so complete their eyes could not adjust. Shadows here aren't in absence, they're structure. The sun sculpts the landscape with the precision of a chisel, turning every pebble into a monument. It's as though the moon were built not of rock, but of geometry and light. The magnetic ghosts beneath the dust. The moon has no global magnetic field now, no compass would work there. But she carries remnants of one. Tiny magnetic patches scattered across her crust suggest she once had a molten core, swirling and alive like Earth's. These fossil fields are frozen echoes of a vanished dynamo. When sunlight strikes the regolith, its metallic grains remember those magnetic fingerprints, holding whispers of a force that no longer exists. It's a quiet paradox, a world seemingly dead that still remembers how to hum. The spacecraft graveyard. The moon is home to more than 90 human-made artifacts. Descent stages, rovers, probes, even bags of astronaut tools left behind to save weight. Somewhere near the Sea of Tranquility, a small plaque reads, "We came in peace for all mankind." But peace is heavy, it leaves litter. Each machine, now silent, has become a fossil of ambition. Our metal handwriting carved into her dust. Future explorers might walk among them like archaeologists at a shrine, reading the story of a species that reached once and rested. The moon's reflective ears. Though airless, the moon listens in her own way. Earth's radio signals, leaking upward for decades, bounce faintly off her surface. Television, radar, even ancient Morse code. For a fraction of a second, our noise touches her dust and returns, distorted but recognizable. She is the planet's echo chamber, turning our chatter into faint ghosts of electromagnetic memory. If one could stand there now among the craters, one might hear the planet murmuring to itself through the dark, a whisper of civilization still trying to be heard. The moon's patience with time. Everything on the moon happens slowly. Rocks erode not in years, but in eons. Colors fade atom by atom under solar wind. Even decay has to wait its turn. In this stillness, the concept of change becomes almost moral, deliberate, earned, unhurried. The moon doesn't resist time. She outlasts it. Perhaps that's why her beauty feels different from Earth's. Ours depends on motion. Hers depends on endurance. She is the art of persistence made visible. Breathe in. Imagine a place where dust floats, shadows stand still, and time itself takes a nap. Every sound you've ever made has brushed against her once. A faint electrical sigh, and still she keeps her calm. You can too. The moon's surface is not lifeless. It's simply beyond the tempo we call life. She moves in frequencies we rarely notice. Light that doesn't bend, dust that doesn't fall, silence that doesn't end. In her patience lies her power. Every footprint, every echo, every speck of charged dust is a reminder that memory doesn't need to be conscious to be perfect. The moon holds our presence the way a photograph holds a breath, still suspended, endlessly waiting. And somewhere in that gray stillness, the line between human and cosmic blurs. We are the dust, and the dust remembers us. If the moon's surface is her face, her orbit is her heartbeat. She moves in silence, tracing a loop so familiar we forget its motion at all. Every rise and setting we witness is a small act of cosmic choreography, a step in an ancient dance between mass and distance, light and shadow. There is no conductor, no rhythm section, only gravity and patience. To watch the moon drift across the sky is to glimpse the geometry of time itself, not a straight line, but a graceful repetition. An ellipse, not a circle. The moon's orbit around Earth is not a perfect circle. It's an ellipse, slightly stretched, like the outline of a gentle sigh. This means her distance from us changes by nearly 30,000 miles, 48,000 kilometers, during each orbit. At her closest perigee, she becomes the supermoon, large and luminous, her light magnified by nearness. At her farthest apogee, she shrinks and fades a little, modest and remote. The difference is subtle, but the emotional response is real. People sleep differently. Oceans rise differently. Even the geometry of longing seems to obey her path. A month that isn't a month. It takes the moon about 27.3 days to orbit Earth, but 29.5 days to complete her visible cycle of phases. That 2-day gap is caused by Earth's own movement around the sun. By the time the moon completes one orbit, Earth has moved slightly ahead, forcing her to travel a little farther to catch up with the sun's light. This is why the word month comes from moon, but never quite matches it. Time, it seems, has always been a negotiation between motion and meaning. Gravity's music, the ocean tides. Twice each day, the moon pulls our oceans into motion. Her gravity tugs the water nearest to her, raising a bulge that follows her path around the planet. Another bulge forms on the far side, a counterbalance born from inertia, not attraction. As Earth spins through these twin humps of water, the tides come and go, a breathing pattern as old as life itself. Every wave that breaks on every shore is, in part, a message from the moon. If sound were gravity made audible, the tide would be her voice. The slowing of Earth, the dance, has a cost. As the moon pulls on Earth's oceans, friction transfers energy from Earth's rotation to her orbit. Our planet's spin slows by about 1.7 milliseconds per century, while the moon drifts slowly outward, about 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters, each year. In the time of the dinosaurs, a day lasted only 23 hours. The moon, in her quiet way, is lengthening our days, gifting us time, one heartbeat at a time. Perhaps she's teaching the universe's oldest lesson, that slowing down is not losing energy, but changing form. Lunar standstill, the edges of her dance. Every 18.6 years, the moon's orbit tilts slightly relative to Earth's equator, causing the range of her rising and setting positions to widen or narrow. This is known as the lunar standstill, a long, slow oscillation noticed by ancient observers who built monuments like Stonehenge and Kaladesh to mark its extremes. When the moon reaches her major standstill, she rises and sets farther north and south than at any other time. The entire sky becomes her stage. It's as if the moon stretches her choreography every 2 decades, reminding us that even repetition contains improvisation. Breathe in. Imagine the invisible thread of gravity stretched between your heartbeat and hers, taut, patient, unbreakable. Every tide, every sunrise, every second added to the day is part of this quiet exchange. You are not separate from her orbit. You are caught in the same slow dance, spinning gently through time. The geometry of eclipses. An eclipse is not luck, it's alignment. When the sun, earth, and moon form a straight line, light and shadow reveal their quiet mathematics. A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes directly between Earth and the sun, casting a narrow shadow, a dark fingerprint that slides across the planet's face. A lunar eclipse reverses the order. Earth's shadow falls upon the moon, tinting her crimson. That glow, the blood moon, is sunlight filtered through Earth's atmosphere, the same light of sunset stitched into a circle above. Eclipses remind us that darkness and illumination are not opposites. They're choreography, rehearsed by gravity. The keeper of seasons. Without the moon, Earth's axis would wobble chaotically, tilting and twisting under the pull of the sun and other planets. Her gravitational embrace steadies that tilt at about 23.5 degrees, keeping our seasons balanced. It's why the Arctic doesn't melt one century and freeze the next, why spring still follows winter. She doesn't just orbit us, she holds our climate in place, as if cradling a spinning top to stop it from falling. Every blooming flower, every migrating bird, every predictable sunrise owes its rhythm to her invisible restraint. In that sense, the moon is not merely companion, she's guardian. The ancient cartographers. Long before telescopes, before even written numbers, humans watched the moon's motion and began to measure the sky. In caves and temples across the world, carvings trace her rising points, her standstills, her phases. The first astronomy written in stone. In Scotland, in Newgrange, in Chaco Canyon, ancient architects aligned doorways and corridors with the moon's extremes, building calendars that worked not by counting, but by watching. To them, she wasn't distant. She was the clock. When you follow the moon night after night, you're not just observing time, you're participating in it. The slow drift toward freedom. Each year, the moon drifts about 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters, farther from Earth. At that rate, in about 600 million years, she will appear too small to cause total solar eclipses. The cosmic coincidences, perfect alignments, perfect shadows, will end. Future skies will know only partial eclipses, light never fully devoured. Our descendants, if they're still here, will look back on our era as the age of perfect balance, a brief symmetry between distance and dimension. Even the universe, it seems, keeps its most beautiful math temporary. The long goodbye. Eventually, if nothing interferes, Earth's rotation will slow until it matches the moon's orbit. When that happens, one side of Earth will always face the moon, and the other will never see her again. The tides will freeze, the dance will end, but that will take billions of years, long after the sun has expanded and rewritten the rules of the solar system. Still, it's poetic to imagine a final waltz, two worlds locked in mutual gaze, turning so slowly that motion becomes memory, the end of a dance that never had a beginning. Take a long, easy breath. Imagine the moon pulling softly at the oceans inside you, at your blood, your breath, your thoughts. You are mostly water, she's mostly silence. And between the two, there is a conversation happening every second, too gentle to hear, too constant to end. The moon's orbit is not an act of gravity alone, it's a form of devotion. She moves not because she must, but because the balance demands it. Every motion is a memory, every cycle a renewal of promise. We live inside that rhythm, borrowing her stability without ever asking for it. If you've ever felt a pull towards stillness or a tide of thought you couldn't name, that's her too. She has been circling long before there were eyes to watch her, and she will keep circling long after we've looked away. The dance continues, even when the music stops. Every face tells a story, even one made of stone. When we look up at the moon, we see more than light. We see a gallery of impacts, each one frozen in exquisite stillness. Every crater, ridge, and plain is both a wound and a masterpiece. There is no weather to smooth the surface, no oceans to erase the past. The moon carries her scars the way old marble carries its veins, proud, silent, unapologetic. In her stillness, she teaches a truth the earth keeps trying to forget, that sometimes beauty isn't born of peace, but of persistence. The story written in scars. The moon's face is ancient, more than 4 billion years old in places. It holds the record of our solar system's chaotic youth, when planets collided and space was a storm of stone. Most of her craters were formed during a violent era called the Late Heavy Bombardment, around 3.9 billion years ago. Back then, the moon was a target in a cosmic firing range. Yet she survived. Every mark left behind became a syllable in her autobiography, written in dust and basalt. Unlike Earth, she never healed. She remembered. the crater that could swallow nations. The largest and deepest crater on the moon is the South Pole Aitken Basin. It spans 1,550 miles, 2,500 kilometers, roughly the distance from New York to Denver, and plunges more than 5 miles, 8 kilometers, deep. If you stood inside it, the curve of the horizon would hide the edges from view. Scientists believe it was caused by a massive impact that nearly cracked the moon in half. Yet from that trauma came balance. The event redistributed her mass, subtly affecting her orbit, perhaps even stabilizing it. Sometimes the blow that almost breaks you is the one that teaches you how to stay in place. The seas that aren't seas. Early astronomers mistook the moon's dark patches for oceans and named them Maria, Latin for seas. In truth, they're plains of solidified lava, born from ancient eruptions triggered by asteroid impacts. These seas, like Mare Tranquillitatis, the Sea of Tranquility, are smoother, younger regions surrounded by older, cratered highlands. They shimmer not with water, but with memory, frozen tides of molten rock. In a poetic sense, the moon once bled and then hardened, turning her pain into landscape. Art and geology, it seems, share the same origin. Pressure transformed into form. The light that paints depth. The moon has no color of her own, only texture and light. When sunlight grazes her surface at a low angle, every ridge casts a precise shadow, revealing the relief of craters like brushstrokes in charcoal. Astronomers call this lunar chiaroscuro, the art of light and dark, as if Caravaggio himself had chosen the palette. Each sunrise on the moon redraws her features, turning ancient wounds into shifting compositions. If the universe has an artist, the brush it uses is time, and its medium is shadow. The hidden side, a face we never see. For most of history, half the moon was invisible, the far side hidden by tidal locking. When Soviet spacecraft Luna 3 sent the first photographs in 1959, the world saw something unexpected. A face completely different from the one we knew. Fewer Maria, more craters, rougher terrain. It's as though the moon turned her private side toward the cosmos and kept her gentler one for us. Scientists still debate why the two sides differ so dramatically. Some suggest a colossal impact early in her history reshaped her crust. Perhaps even moons have inner and outer selves. One they show, one they protect. Take a breath. Imagine running your hand across that uneven skin, cold, dream ancient. Each crater a heartbeat frozen in basalt. Every shadow, a memory of impact. The moon is not smooth because she doesn't need to be. Perfection is a story told by erosion. Endurance is its sequel. The moon still bleeds light. Even in darkness, the moon glows faintly. This phenomenon, called earthshine, happens when sunlight reflects off Earth's clouds and oceans and softly illuminates the moon's night side. It's the tender exchange of light between two worlds, the Earth lending her radiance to her silent companion. Leonardo da Vinci first described it in the early 1500s, realizing that we see the moon not only by the sun's grace, but by our own. So when you look up at that dim outline of the dark side, remember, she's shining with borrowed light, a quiet symbol of reciprocity. The rain that never ends. The moon still endures impacts, hundreds every year. Micrometeorites, no bigger than sand grains, strike her surface constantly, each hit releasing a brief spark of light. Larger ones, a few feet across, can carve new craters visible from Earth's telescopes. Because she has no atmosphere to burn them away, every encounter is direct, unfiltered, final. In that sense, the moon wears the universe like weather. Her scars are her rainfall, her craters, her seasons. While Earth's storms wash clean, the moon's storms remain, a map of endurance traced in stone. The crater clock. Scientists can estimate a surface's age by counting its craters. The more densely cratered a region, the older it is. This method, crater chronology, turns the moon into both a clock and a calendar, a geological diary of cosmic events. Because she has preserved her surface so perfectly, we use her record to measure the history of the entire interstellar solar system. When you gaze at her, you're looking at a timeline billions of years long, every pit a punctuation mark in the sentence of creation. Time doesn't just pass on the moon, it accumulates. The hidden glow of impact. Each new collision creates a brief burst of light, an impact flash, lasting just a fraction of a second. Telescopes on Earth catch them from time to time, tiny fireworks across the lunar night. The moon becomes a mirror for cosmic accidents, translating invisible collisions into visible moments. Every flash is a reminder that space is not empty. It's alive with movement, with risk, with renewal. The moon's surface, pocked and glowing, is the living proof that stillness and change coexist, always silently together. The survivor's portrait. When we look at the moon through a telescope, we are seeing not ruin but resilience. Her pitted face is the biography of a survivor. Each crater tells two stories, one of violence and one of endurance. If you could stand there and look back at Earth, you might wonder which world truly carries more scars, the one that healed or the one that remembered. Perhaps that's why the moon comforts us. She embodies the balance between fragility and strength. She has been struck 1,000,000 times, and still she shines. Breathe slowly. Imagine standing in the sea of tranquility, surrounded by craters that once burned brighter than suns. Above you, silence, so complete it hums. Below, dust older than dreams. And somewhere deep in that dust, the memory of every impact still trembles. The moon's face is not static, it's a slow-motion conversation with time. Each crater a question, each ridge an answer, half buried in shadow. She is the universe's sculptor and its sculpture, shaped by violence, yet devoted to grace. In her, chaos found form. In her silence, energy found rest. Every night we see her anew, thinking we're watching reflection. But what we're really witnessing is endurance. The art of impact isn't destruction. It's the persistence of form after the storm. Every night the moon shines, but she owns no light. Her glow is not creation, but conversation. Sunlight borrowed, softened, and returned. If the sun is the voice, the moon is the echo. And yet, somehow her echo moves us more deeply than the original song. We write poems to her, not to the sun. Perhaps it's because reflection is closer to how we live. We absorb, we process, we give back what we've learned in gentler tones. In this way, the moon is our teacher in luminosity without heat, brilliance without arrogance. She reminds us that to reflect is not to imitate, it's to interpret. A mirror made of ash and glass, the moon's surface reflects only about 12% of the sunlight that hits it. That may sound dim, yet from Earth it looks radiant. Her ground is made of volcanic rock and powdered glass, a mixture that scatters light unevenly, forward, sideways, softly. The brightness we see is not intensity, but contrast, a beacon against the darkness of space. It's proof that context defines beauty. In a black enough universe, even a handful of dust can look divine. The albedo paradox. Astronomers call the moon's reflectivity her albedo. By comparison, fresh snow reflects about 80%, while coal reflects less than 10%. The moon falls somewhere between, a dim coal shining like snow. It's a paradox of perception. We see her as dazzling because she's framed by absence. Her light has to travel 250,000 miles, 384,000 kilometers, through darkness to reach our eyes, long enough for the mind to forget its source. In that sense, her light isn't just physics, it's memory, stretched thin over distance. The geometry of phases. The moon's phases are the slow turning of illumination, a lesson in perspective. At new moon, she hides entirely in shadow. At full moon, she stands opposite the sun, face fully lit. Between them, crescents and quarters mark her gradual revelation. But the moon never changes shape. Only our vantage point does. Her phases are not transformation, but translation. Light seen from shifting angles. Like truth itself, she doesn't change. We just learn to see her differently. The halo and the crown. Sometimes a ring of light appears around the moon. A lunar halo. It forms when moonlight passes through ice crystals in Earth's upper atmosphere, bending the rays at 22 degrees and scattering them into a pale circle. Ancient people thought it was an omen. Meteorologists know it as a sign of incoming weather. But for the observer, it feels like a crown of frost, a reminder that even reflections can be refracted, reshaped by what they pass through. Our own thoughts behave the same way. Pure light altered by the prism of circumstance. Blue moon, blood moon, and other stories of color. Though usually white or silver, the moon sometimes changes hue. During lunar eclipses, she turns red as Earth's atmosphere filters sunlight. After volcanic eruptions, ash in the air can make her appear blue or green. These colors aren't her own. They're borrowed emotions from Earth's sky. The moon doesn't feel. She reflects what we send her. It's a haunting metaphor for empathy, to bound to glow in response to another storm. Every tint in her light is a story of connection, a record of the world's breath passing between us and her. Take a slow, unhurried breath. Close your eyes for a moment and picture that silvery light falling over oceans, forests, rooftops, your own hands. It's the same light that touched a million faces across centuries, borrowed, shared, passed along. You don't need to create brilliance tonight. You only need to reflect it. The body listens to moonlight. Even faint moonlight can influence biology. Studies show that human sleep cycles subtly shift with the lunar phase. People tend to fall asleep later and sleep less deeply near the full moon, even in total darkness. Some animals, too, time their behavior by her glow. Corals spawn in rhythm with lunar light, and predators hunt when the nights are brightest. It's as though the moon whispers not just to oceans, but to cells, a silent conductor of circadian symphonies. We may have outgrown our need to fear the dark, but part of us still stirs when the moon brightens the night. The light that shapes folklore. Every culture has tried to explain why the moon glows. Ancient Greeks believed she carried her own fire. Chinese poets called her a silver lantern of immortality. The Maya saw her as the reflection of a drowned goddess. Reflection became myth, and myth became morality, a way to understand how something so quiet could rule the tides and moods of humankind. Perhaps that's the secret of reflection. It invites projection. We see not the moon herself, but the shape of our own wonder. Earthlight on the moon, a reversed reflection. If you stood on the moon during her night, you'd see Earth glowing in the sky, far brighter than any full moon. Our clouds, oceans, and deserts reflect sunlight toward her surface. This glow is called Earthlight. It's strong enough to light up lunar valleys, casting pale shadows from mountain rims. In that moment, the Earth becomes the lamp, and the moon the page that receives it. It's a cosmic symmetry, each world reflecting the other, each giving what it cannot keep. Reflection is, after all, another form of communication. Reflection in the architecture of thought. In philosophy, reflection is more than light. It's awareness turned inward. The moon's glow has become a metaphor for intellect itself, the capacity to take illumination from elsewhere and make it our own. Just as she shines with borrowed radiance, consciousness shines with borrowed knowledge. We don't generate all light, we curate it. In that sense, the moon is a model for wisdom, not the source, but the mirror that transforms brightness into meaning. The future fading light. The moon's brightness won't last forever. As she drifts slowly away from Earth, about 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters per year, her reflected light will grow fainter over geological timescales. In a few 100 million years, total eclipses will no longer occur. She'll appear smaller, dimmer, more distant. Our descendants, if they still look up, will see a paler companion, more memory than presence. But perhaps that's fitting. Reflection, like memory, always fades, not because it fails, but because it teaches impermanence. Breathe deeply. The moonlight that spills through your window tonight left the sun just over a second ago, bounced off the lunar plains, and traveled back across space to find you. It's ancient and immediate, both at once. As it falls on you, remember, this light has touched everything, and now, for a moment, it's yours. The moon does not shine at us. She shines through us. She reflects sunlight, yes, but also thought, memory, myth. Every time we look at her, we complete the circuit. Sun to moon, moon to earth, earth to mind. She is physics-made poetry, the proof that illumination doesn't require ownership. Even when we have nothing left to give, we can still reflect. That's what makes her timeless. That's what makes her ours. Every partnership has a rhythm, a balance of pull and release. Earth and moon have been dancing together for more than 4 billion years. It's not a waltz of equals, but a gravity duet. The Earth leads, the moon resists, and between them emerges the tempo we call tides, time and stability. Without this distant partner, the Earth would tilt, wobble, and stumble through the ages. With her, it turns with grace. The moon doesn't just orbit us, she steadies us. She's the quiet hand on Earth's shoulder, guiding the spin of everything alive. The moon keeps the Earth upright. Earth's axis, the invisible line around which it spins, is tilted about 23.5 degrees. That tilt gives us seasons, migrations, and the rhythm of life itself. But without the moon's gravitational pull, that axis would wander chaotically over millions of years, swinging between 0 degrees and 85 degrees, as Mars's does today. In those worlds, climates collapse and stabilize only briefly before changing again. The moon acts as our gyroscope, her gravity tugging gently at Earth's equator, keeping our tilt nearly constant. In the vast, unpredictable solar system, she is our anchor of balance, a cosmic compass that keeps north where it belongs. The pulse beneath the waves. Tides are the visible heartbeat of this relationship. As the moon's gravity pulls on the oceans, it stretches them slightly, creating bulges that move around the globe as Earth spins. Every shoreline feels her influence twice each day, a subtle reminder that even water listens to the moon. This ceaseless rhythm shapes coastlines, stirs nutrients, and may have once guided the earliest life onto land. To the ocean, the moon is both partner and metronome, conducting an eternal aquatic symphony. The day grows longer because of her. When Earth was young, a day lasted only 5 to 6 hours. The moon's gravity has been gradually slowing our rotation, stealing angular momentum and trading it for distance. Today, she's about 240,000 miles, 384,000 kilometers away, and still drifting outward at roughly 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters per year. Every century, our day lengthens by about 1.7 milliseconds. That's barely noticeable, yet across eons, it matters. Time itself is a product of companionship. The slower Earth spins, the farther she lets her partner drift. A graceful exchange of energy, like two dancers moving apart to keep the tempo alive. The tides shape life and time. Tides did more than sculpt coastlines, they sculpted biology. Many marine organisms evolved to move, feed, or reproduce with tidal rhythms. Even now, grunions, tiny silver fish off California's coast, leap onto beaches to lay eggs only during full and new moons. The lunar rhythm became a template for behavior, and perhaps even for our concept of time. Before clocks and calendars, humans measured life by the moon's cycles. Farmers, fishermen, lovers, poets, all looked upward for instruction. In her pull, we found not only motion, but meaning. The Earth's glow seen from the moon. If you could stand on the moon, you'd see Earth performing her own gentle dance. From that vantage, our planet appears about 13 times larger than the full moon looks to us, swirling with blues, whites, and greens, a living marble in black space. And just as the moon's phases change for us, Earth's phases change for her. Earth rise, Earth set, full Earth. The view would be hypnotic, a moving symbol of their gravitational bond. One lights the other, one steadies the other. A relationship not of possession, but reciprocity. Breathe in deeply and picture it. Two bodies bound by invisible strings of gravity, circling endlessly, never touching. The moon pulling oceans, slowing time, whispering balance into chaos. Every tide that rolls ashore is a message from her, a reminder that even distance can be devotion. If the moon vanished tonight, imagine for a moment that the moon simply disappeared. The tides would shrink to a fraction of their strength, driven only by the sun. Coastal ecosystems, tuned to that rhythm for billions of years, would falter. Migratory patterns would collapse. Over millennia, Earth's axial tilt would begin to wobble, tipping unpredictably and throwing climates into chaos. Summers might scorch the poles, winters could swallow continents. Without her steadying hand, Earth would lose its rhythm. Civilization might survive, but the seasons would dance drunkenly, and the sky would feel strangely empty, as if the planet had forgotten its heartbeat. Eclipses, the moment they align. Every so often, Earth, moon, and sun line up perfectly. During a solar eclipse, the moon's shadow races across Earth's surface at more than 1,000 miles per hour, turning day into twilight. During a lunar eclipse, Earth's shadow paints the moon red as sunlight filters through our atmosphere. These events are cosmic coincidences. The moon is both 400 times smaller and 400 times closer than the sun, making them appear the same size in our sky. That balance won't last forever. As the moon drifts away, future generations will never see total eclipses again. Only partial shadows, soft reminders of a once perfect alignment. The moon wrote our calendar. Before clocks and equations, humans measured time by her. The word month comes from moon tiath, and most early calendars followed her 29.5-day cycle. Babylonian priests, Chinese astronomers, and indigenous cultures across the world marked rituals, harvests, and journeys by her phases. The moon became not only a keeper of time, but of emotion, a calendar of light and longing. Even today, our words remember: honeymoon, moonlight, lunatic. Language carries her fingerprint, proof that gravity isn't the only force that binds us to her. The moon's pull on the mind. There's a reason we associate lunacy with the moon. Ancient physicians believed her changing light could stir the fluids of the body and the tides of the mind. Modern science finds no clear proof, yet emergency rooms, police departments, and maternity wards still quietly track the full moon out of old superstition. Perhaps the connection is psychological, not physical. We've lived under her gaze too long not to feel it. The moon's influence may be subtle, but it's stitched into our collective rhythm, an emotional gravity that never quite lets go. The dance will one day end. The moon's slow drift outward won't stop. In about 50 billion years, tidal friction will lock both Earth and moon in mutual embrace, each showing the same face to the other, orbiting in perfect synchrony. There will be no more tides, no more eclipses, no rising or setting moon. From Earth's surface, she will hang forever above one hemisphere, unmoving, a frozen witness to time's stillness. By then, the sun will have become a red giant. Their dance will end not in separation, but in symmetry. Two partners caught mid-turn, preserved in the stillness of gravity's final bow. Take a breath, slow and quiet. Picture Earth and Moon suspended in the dark. Two companions whose pull has shaped oceans, seasons, and perhaps even love itself. Their distance grows, but so does their grace. In every tide, every shadow, every second that stretches a little longer, you can still feel the rhythm of that ancient dance. The moon doesn't orbit us out of obedience. She moves in answer to our pull. Their relationship is not dominance, but dialogue. Two bodies conversing across emptiness. We measure her in miles, in phases, in tides. But what she truly gives us is equilibrium. A reminder that motion and stillness can coexist. The space between them isn't absence, it's music. A silence so steady it became time itself. Before serenity, there was fire. Before reflection, there was violence. The moon was not gently formed. She was torn into existence. 4.5 billion years ago, when Earth was still molten and half-built, a world the size of Mars slammed into her. The collision shattered both bodies, scattering molten rock into orbit, a glowing ring of debris encircling the young Earth. From that chaos, gravity began to sculpt. Piece by piece, orbit by orbit, the fragments gathered and fused until a sphere emerged, battered, blazing, radiant. That sphere became the moon. She is not our child, nor our twin, but something in between, a memory of the Earth's most violent heartbeat. The giant impact. Scientists call it Theia, the lost planet that changed everything. The impact was so powerful it likely vaporized thousands of cubic miles of rock, turning the sky into a glowing ocean of magma and plasma. Temperatures soared beyond 4,500 degrees. The Earth's crust melted, its outer layers thrown into orbit. The debris, still incandescent, circled for months, slowly coalescing under its own gravity. The moon was born not from creation, but from aftermath, proof that destruction can be an act of design. The molten world. The newborn moon glowed like a second sun. For millions of years, its surface was an ocean of liquid rock, a magma sea hundreds of miles deep. As it cooled, lighter minerals like an orthosite floated upward to form her bright crust. Heavier ones sank to the core. That crust still shines today as the pale hyalins we see from Earth. Imagine a world glowing red, slowly fading to silver, a candle cooling into a mirror. Echoes of the same stone. The Apollo missions revealed a secret in the moon's rocks. They're nearly identical to Earth's mantle. Same oxygen isotopes, same chemical fingerprints. This was the final proof of the impact theory. The moon and Earth share the same geological DNA. We are literally made of the same collision, our atoms scattered and reunited. When you look at the moon, you're not seeing another world. You're seeing a fragment of your own planet, still circling home. The magnetic memory. Early in her very molten youth, the moon had a magnetic field, strong enough to shield her from solar winds. But it faded quickly, cooling faster than Earth. Traces of that magnetism remain locked in ancient rocks, silent echoes of a vanished dynamo. These faint signatures are the moon's first diary entries, evidence that she once pulsed with inner fire before settling into the calm we know. Her serenity, like all wisdom, was hard-earned. The great glow in the sky. Imagine standing on early Earth after the impact, when the moon was newly formed, huge, molten, 10 times closer than today. She filled half the sky, her light orange and gold, bright enough to cast shadows at noon. The tides were titanic, hundreds of feet high, reshaping continents, stirring the seas into constant motion. To that young, chaotic world, the moon was not a gentle companion. She was an inferno, both the wound and the healer. Take a slow breath. Picture a horizon where the moon burns. Immense, red, heavy with birthlight. Breathe in the heat of impact. Breathe out the silence that followed. What we now call beauty was once collision. What we now call calm was once creation through fire. Cooling the inferno. After the great impact, the moon glowed for millions of years. Gradually, her molten surface hardened into a crust. Vast rivers of lava ran across her plains, freezing mid-motion into the dark basalt seas we now call Maria. This slow cooling was not peaceful. It cracked and groaned, reshaping her surface as heat escaped. You can still trace the ancient wrinkles, lunar rills, that mark where her crust buckled under contraction. The moon's calm face is a fossilized storm, her serenity carved from exhaustion. The slowing spin. At first, the moon spun rapidly, showing all her faces to Earth. But over time, Earth's gravity tugged on her uneven shape, creating friction that stole her rotation. After billions of years, she became tidally locked, turning once for every orbit, keeping one face toward us forever. This is why we see only one side. The far side isn't hidden out of mystery, it's hidden by love, the inevitable stillness that comes when two bodies move in perfect rhythm. The moon no longer turns away because she no longer needs to. The birth of stability. When her orbit settled, the entire Earth-Moon system stabilized. The newly formed moon's gravity balanced Earth's tilt, moderated her seasons, and calmed her tides. Without her, Earth might have been a restless world, its climate swinging wildly between extremes. With her, life found rhythm, a steady dance of light and shadow, rise and fall. It's strange to think from a single act of destruction came the conditions for harmony. Catastrophe became architecture. The fading heat within. Though the moon appears dead, she still holds warmth deep inside. Traces of radioactive decay and ancient tidal heating keep her core faintly alive. Seismometers placed by Apollo astronauts have recorded moonquakes, soft tremors, echoes of a planet still adjusting to its own history. These quakes are whispers of birth trauma, repeating across eons. Even silence, it seems, has aftershocks. The long memory of dust. Every particle on the moon's surface is older than any human monument. Because there is no air, no wind, no rain, nothing ever truly fades. The dust, fine, sharp, electrostatically charged, is the residue of all time. When astronauts walked there, they left footprints that could last 10 million years. The moon remembers everything, every collision, every spark, every visitor. She is the archivist of the solar system, a librarian bound in stone. Close your eyes. Imagine the sound of nothing, a silence so deep it vibrates. Beneath it, a world once molten, now sleeping. She turns slowly, cradled by gravity, bathed in borrowed light. Breathe in, heat. Breathe out, memory. The moon still glows, just quietly now, in the spaces between seconds. The moon was not born gentle. She became gentle. From collision to cooling, from fire to frost, she transformed chaos into continuity. Her existence is a contradiction that makes perfect sense. Born of violence, yet guardian of balance. Every time we look up, we're not just seeing a satellite, we're seeing the aftermath of our own beginning, orbiting still. She is the scar that became a mirror, the wound that learned to glow. The moon is more than a rock orbiting Earth. She's a projection screen for the human soul. For as long as we've looked up, we've filled her silence with meaning. Every civilization has given her a name, a face, a purpose. She's been goddess and ghost, lover and omen, clock and confessor. Where the sun commands, the moon listens. Where light exposes, shadow imagines. We built science to measure her, but we built poetry to understand her. And in both languages, data and dream, she remains our oldest mirror. The first goddess, long before telescopes, before writing itself, humans worshiped the moon as divine. In Sumer, she was Nana, the god of wisdom and measurement. In Babylon, Sin, the regulator of time. In Egypt, Khonsu, the traveler. And in Greece, she became Selene, then Artemis, then Hecate, maiden, huntress, witch. Her changing face mirrored the cycles of life: birth, fullness, decay, rebirth. To early humans, this was not astronomy. It was theology carved in light. The moon didn't orbit Earth, she orbited meaning. The mirror of madness. The word lunacy comes from luna, Latin for moon. For centuries, physicians believed her phases could stir mental illness. Aristotle and Pliny the Elder thought the moon's light affected the brain, just as it moved the tides. Even in modern hospitals, emergency workers swear that full moons bring more chaos, more accidents, more births, more unrest. Science has found little proof, but belief itself has power. We expect the world to act strangely under her light, and so it does. The moon may not drive madness, but she still conducts it beautifully. The dream architect. The moon governs dreams the way the sun governs growth. In many cultures, dream deities are lunar beings, their power waxing and waning with her glow. Ancient Persians prayed to the moon for visions. Native American tribes marked dream moons in their calendars. Even today, studies show people recall dreams more vividly around the full moon. Perhaps it's the light seeping through our eyelids, or perhaps the subconscious still listens to ancient rhythms. The moon doesn't just hang above our sleep, she curates it. The lover in the sky. No celestial body has inspired more love poems than the moon. She's the symbol of distance made intimate, always near yet unreachable. When lovers in different lands look up at her, they share a moment across continents and centuries. The Japanese word tsukimi means moon viewing, an entire tradition built on silent admiration. For poets, she's constancy disguised as change, always there, always shifting, always reflecting the state of the heart. In love, as in orbit, proximity is overrated. Rhythm is everything. The Watcher of the Dead. To many ancient peoples, the moon was not only a guide for the living, but a path for the dead. In Mayan mythology, she watched over souls as they crossed into the underworld. In Norse tales, she fled from wolves across the scale, a symbol of mortality forever pursued. And in ancient China, her darkened phase was the night of spirits, when ancestors whispered through the silence. Death and rebirth, light and shadow. She became the first metaphor for eternity, written in the language of cycles. Take a breath and look up, not with your eyes, but with your memory. The moon you see tonight is the same one that guided your ancestors, that lit their paths and haunted their fears. Every myth you've ever heard about her is true in its own way, not because it happened, but because it mattered. The calendar of the soul. Long before we tracked hours or invented weeks, humanity measured time by the moon. Each full moon was not just a date, but a feeling. The harvest moon, the wolf moon, the strawberry moon. Every name marked a rhythm of survival: planting, hunting, gathering, mourning. The moon became a memory wheel, turning above us, syncing emotion with necessity. Even today, we still live by her pulse, setting festivals, fasts, and rituals to her phases. Our calendars may be digital, but our instincts are lunar. The sorcerer's light. The moon has always been the stage light of magic. Witches, druids, and shamans held ceremonies under her glow, believing her phases amplified intention. The full moon for manifestation, the new moon for renewal, the waning for release. Modern physics may not confirm her power, but human psychology does. Ritual gains strength when tied to rhythm. In the silver wash of moonlight, we feel aligned with something larger than logic. The moon became a metronome for faith, not proving the supernatural, but giving it structure. The birth of stories. Every culture gazed at the same moon and saw a different picture. The Chinese saw a jade rabbit pounding the elixir of immortality. In India, it was the god Chandra driving his chariot across the night. The Inca imagined a wounded sun cooling after battle. To Western eyes, she became a woman's face, serene, secretive, softly watching. Myth wasn't error, it was language. Through her craters and shadows, people projected their fears and hopes, transforming astronomy into empathy. Even today, children still look up and find animals, faces, stories, proof that imagination, like light, travels both ways. From werewolves to astronauts. In the old myths, the full moon didn't just reveal monsters, it created them. Werewolves, witches, transformations, all tales of light breaking boundaries. Centuries later, that same light guided a new kind of transformation: science. In 1969, when humans set foot on the moon, it was both an act of conquest and confession. We'd finally reached our reflection, only to find dust, silence in ourselves. The astronaut's visor became a mirror of the human myth. For millennia, we dreamed of touching the moon. When we did, she simply waited, as if she'd been expecting us all along. The myth inside the machine. Even in modern science, myth lingers, disguised as metaphor. We still say the dark side of the moon, though it's not dark, only unseen. We still call her asleep or lonely, though she's constant and surrounded by radiation. Our instruments measure craters and reflectivity, yet our language betrays awe. Because the moon is not just an object, she's a collaborator in the human story. Every new discovery adds a layer to her mythology, not erasing the old ones, but illuminating them. In the end, science didn't banish her mystery, it refined it. Take a breath. Imagine the moon hovering above 1,000 campfires across time, priests calculating her rise, poets whispering her name, children pointing with sticky fingers. Every era thinks it understands her. None do, that's her magic. She reflects belief as easily as light. The moon is the meeting point of mind and matter. She's the proof that we can turn rock into meaning, that we can take an orbit of dust and build religions, songs, and equations around it. Her gravity pulls on oceans, yes, but also on imagination. We made her divine, then dissected her, then worshipped her again through science. Perhaps that's what she wanted all along. Not devotion, not control, but attention. And so we keep watching. Not because we have to, but because she makes the night feel like thought. Every story, even a celestial one, has an ending. The moon's beauty lies not only in her permanence, but in the illusion of it. She feels eternal, the same silver curve seen by dinosaurs, emperors, and astronauts. Yet her orbit is slowly unraveling. She is leaving us inch by inch, pulled outward by the very tide she creates. It's not betrayal, but balance. Every tug must be returned. Every rhythm must resolve. Someday the moon's light will still reach us, but her pull will not. And in that silence, the Earth will learn again how to stand alone. The slow drift. Each year the moon moves about 1.5 inches, 3.8 centimeters, farther from Earth. It sounds insignificant, less than the width of a thumb, but it adds up. In 100 million years, she'll be thousands of miles more distant. In 500 million, total eclipses will vanish entirely. This drift is caused by tidal friction. Earth's rotation drags the tidal bulge slightly ahead of the moon, transferring energy to her orbit. The moon grows freer, the Earth slows. It's the gentlest breakup in the cosmos. Two bodies parting with perfect courtesy. The long night of the eclipses. Eclipses are a cosmic coincidence. The sun and moon appear the same size only because of their current distance ratio. But as the moon recedes, her apparent size will shrink. In roughly 600 million years, no total solar eclipses will occur. Our descendants, if any still watch, will see only rings of sunlight, halos of fire that never fully fade. The moon's reign as the perfect mask will end. She'll become less an actor, more an audience, a pale spectator to the sun's unbroken glare. The fading of tides. As the moon retreats, Earth's tides will weaken. The great ocean bulges will flatten. The coastal pulse will quiet. Without her steady pull, tidal mixing, which circulates nutrients and drives marine ecosystems, will diminish. Seas will grow stagnant, like forgotten songs. The rhythm of life, so long tuned to her invisible hand, will slow, then fade. The ocean's breathing will shallow, and Earth, for the first time in billions of years, will move without music. The growing day. The moon's gift of time will continue. As she drifts away, Earth's rotation will keep slowing. Days will lengthen, 25 hours, 30, 40, until one day equals one lunar month. That's when tidal locking will arrive. The Earth will show the same face to the moon as the moon does to us now. Half the planet will live in perpetual moonlight, the other half in eternal absence. Civilizations may rise and fall under one sky that never changes. The concept of night itself will die. The quieting of the core. As Earth's spin slows, so too will her magnetic field weaken. The molten core, driven by rotation, will lose momentum. Our planet's shield against solar radiation will thin. Auroras will vanish. The atmosphere will erode. Life may adapt, but the tone of existence will change. Slower, dimmer, more fragile. The moon far above will still glow faintly, a relic of a dance that once kept everything in motion. She will no longer hold us, only remember us. Breathe in. Picture the moon a little farther than before. The same light, softer now, her orbit stretched by time. Breathe out. Distance is not loss, it's evolution. Every farewell in the universe is written in gravity, and every orbit is a promise kept until it isn't. The Earth will tire first. Long before the moon truly escapes us, Earth will begin to change beyond recognition. The continents will drift together again, forming a new supercontinent, Amasia, clustered around the North Pole. Ocean tides, weakened by distance, will whisper instead of roar. The days will stretch to 40 hours. Human language, if it still exists, will have forgotten the word daybreak. And above this silent geography, the moon will hang smaller and dimmer. Not gone, just uninterested. Her love was never eternal, only gravitational. The sun's reckoning. About 5 billion years from now, the sun will begin to die. Its hydrogen fuel will run low and it will swell into a red giant, swallowing Mercury and Venus. The moon, farther away than ever, will witness it all. A pale ghost orbiting a planet whose oceans are boiling, whose air glows red. She will not burn, but she will melt, scarred by heat and radiation. And then, the last tides will rise, not of water but of stone, as Earth's surface softens under the growing furnace of its parent star. The great unbinding. Eventually, the expanding sun will reach a point where Earth and the moon can no longer hold each other. The balance of forces that once tied them together will break. The moon may drift outward into independent orbit or fall inward, consumed by the swollen sun. Astronomers debate the exact fate. Some predict she'll escape, spinning into the void like a wandering coin. Others, that she'll spiral into the furnace, dissolving into plasma, becoming once again what she came from. Light. Either way, the dance ends. The floor burns, the music stops. The ashes of reflection. After the red giant phase, the sun will collapse into a white dwarf, a core of pure density, glowing faintly for trillions of years. If the moon survives, she will orbit this pale ember in silence. No oceans, no tides, no watchers. Her craters will still hold the shadows of Earth's extinct mountains. Her dust will still carry human footprints, but there will be no one left to interpret them. The moon will have become what she always pretended to be, a mirror with no one standing before it. The fate of light. And then, at last, entropy will come for her too. Cosmic dust will settle on her surface. Micrometeorites will grind her edges down to glass. Slowly, the moon will fade into the background glow of the Milky Way. She will no longer cast light. She will become it, scattered photon by photon into the interstellar dark. The moon will end not with an explosion, but with a whisper. Her last act will be reflection, the same thing she's done since she was born. Take a deep breath, hold it. Imagine a night without the moon, a sky stripped of its rhythm, a planet alone. And yet, in every wave that still moves, in every clock that ticks, in every word that follows once upon a time, she remains. The moon doesn't vanish, she disperses into culture, into language, into us. When the light forgets itself, if the moon could speak, perhaps she'd tell us this: I was never yours. You were mine for a moment. She sculpted our tides, lengthened our days, guided our myths, and steadied our seas. She made us notice time. And now, as she drifts beyond reach, she leaves behind her greatest work, a planet that learned to look up. Even when she's gone, the echo remains. Every child who gazes at the night sky, every poet who finds meaning in reflection, every scientist who listens for light, they're answering the same invitation. Not to conquer the dark, but to dream within it. The moon began as debris, became a companion, and will end as memory. But what a beautiful orbit that is. From chaos to consciousness, from dust to wonder. Sleep now. The tides are still moving. The moon is still dreaming. And now we've arrived at the edge of the orbit. Not the end, just the place where motion becomes memory. You've heard how the moon pulls oceans, bends light, shapes time. But there are still a few secrets left. The ones that don't shout, the ones that whisper when everything else has gone quiet. These are not the grand facts of astronomy or history. They are the smaller truths, the kind that live in pauses, in the breath between thought and dream. Think of this as the last stretch of twilight, that fragile moment when day doesn't end, but exhales, where light fades so slowly that you're not sure when it disappeared. Each of these final 10 truths is like that, a shimmer at the edge of understanding. Some you'll remember, some will only stay as feelings, and that's fine, because the moon doesn't demand to be understood, only seen. So lie back, let your breathing match her rhythm, slow, steady, ancient. We're about to cross the last bridge between science and silence. 10 steps into stillness, 10 gentle truths before the dark becomes sleep. The breath she carries. The moon moves through a ghost of our own atmosphere, a tenuous exosphere that extends hundreds of thousands of miles. Every orbit, she drags a whisper of Earth with her, like breath she has forgotten to exhale. The invisible rain. Micrometeorites fall on her surface every second, showering grains of iron and glass that spark in silence. They make the moon older by 1,000,000 years each day, and yet she never ages in our eyes. The echo in water. When you look at her reflection in a pond, you're seeing light that has traveled 500,000 miles and bent twice. Once by space, once by stillness. Even the smallest ripple rearranges the cosmos. The traveler's time. Because she has no atmosphere, time moves fractionally faster on the moon. A clock left there would run 1 second ahead every 6 years. Proof that even silence outpaces us. The silver wind. Though airless, the moon breathes electricity. Her surface charges as sunlight strikes it, making dust levitate like mist. It is wind without air, motion without sound, a storm made of memory. The human orbit. Right now, there are more maps of the moon than there are of Earth's deep oceans. She has become our mirror not just of light, but of curiosity, the one we keep returning to when home feels too small. The pulse of return. Future missions will carry seeds, instruments, and dreams back to her soil. When they touch down, they'll land on the ashes of the Apollo footprints, history meeting hope on the same grain of dust. The mirror of signals. Radio waves that once bounced off her surface are still traveling outward, forever. Somewhere in the galaxy, a star you've never seen is now ringed with faint echoes of human voices reflected from her skin. The lonely orbit. One day, long after we're gone, the moon will rise over a quiet planet. No lights, no cities, only forests and water breathing slowly in the dark. She will still turn toward the place where our eyes used to be. The final reflection. The moon's story is our own, born from impact, softened by time, shining with borrowed light. She taught us that nothing must last to matter, only to glow while it can. Breathe in, that's the same air she once carried in her wake. Breathe out. That's the same gravity that still holds her. We counted to 100, but she's still counting. Every wave, every shadow, every dream. You've traveled across 100 quiet truths, from the molten birth of the moon to her cold and silver stillness. You've seen how shadows have weight, how silence can move dust, how time itself bends just to keep her close. The light that brushed your eyes tonight began its journey 1.25 seconds ago, and will end, perhaps, in your dreams, because that's what she does. She takes the far and makes it near. She turns distance into rhythm and mystery into sleep. So as the orbit continues, let your mind drift with her, not away from the world, but deeper into it. The same tides that pull the ocean pull your heartbeat too. The same light that wakes the night also softens your breath. You are not beneath the moon. You are part of her story, a moment of warmth on a small blue world, floating through her endless, luminous dance. The moon was born from violence, a collision that could have ended Earth, but instead gave her a companion. Every wave that rises and falls is the moon's handwriting on water. She is moving away at 1.5 inches a year, a slow-motion farewell written in gravity. The moon's gravity keeps Earth's axis stable. Without her, our seasons would spin out of order. She reflects only about 12% of the sunlight she receives, enough to illuminate human imagination for millennia. When you look at the full moon, you are seeing sunlight that left the sun 1.2 seconds ago, bounced off the moon, and reached you in another 1.2 seconds. The dark patches on her surface are called Maria, Latin for seas. They are ancient plains of frozen lava. The moon has moonquakes. Some are triggered by tidal stress from Earth, others by meteor impacts. Astronauts left mirrors on the moon. Scientists still bounce lasers off them to measure her distance. There is no true dark side. Every part of the moon receives sunlight. We simply never see the far hemisphere. The moon smells like burnt gunpowder, at least according to Apollo astronauts who sniffed lunar dust in their suits. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's the sound of a world without air, a stage with no echo. There's water on the moon, frozen in shadowed craters at her poles. She has mountains higher than the Rockies and plains older than any earthly desert. The moon was once part of us. She carries Earth's lost crust thrown into orbit billions of years ago. If she vanished tonight, tides would fall silent, coral reefs would bleach, and time itself would lose its rhythm. The moon has no true color. She appears gray only because her surface reflects sunlight unevenly. She rises later each night by about 50 minutes, her quiet way of keeping time against the Earth's spin. The footprints left on her surface will remain for millions of years. There is no wind, no rain, no forgetting. The moon is tidally locked. One side always faces us, one side always hides. Even loyalty in nature has geometry. Her far side is rougher, more scarred, less poetic, yet it carries the story of her earliest wounds. The moon doesn't shine, she remembers. If you could stand on her surface during a full Earth, you'd see our planet glowing 50 times brighter than the full moon appears to us. The moon causes time to slow down, literally. Her pull is gradually lengthening Earth's days. Every language has a word for her, but none has captured her silence. Pause for a breath. You've just traveled through 4.5 billion years in 25 heartbeats. The moon isn't just above you, she's beneath you, inside you, reflected in the iron of your blood and the rhythm of your sleep. Let's keep going. The night is vast, and she still has more to tell. The moon is about 1/4 the width of Earth, a coin orbiting a marble. From her surface, Earth always hangs in the same spot in the sky, turning like a living lantern. During an eclipse, the moon glows red because Earth's atmosphere bends sunlight around its edges. If you could see the moon's orbit in time-lapse, it would look like a slow heartbeat. The moon's rotation and orbit are perfectly synchronized, a cosmic waltz learned over billions of years. Her gravity raises solid tides in Earth's crust. The ground beneath you rises and falls several inches every day. If you weigh 150 pounds on Earth, you'd weigh only 25 on the moon. There is no true up or down there, only the direction of your last step. Shadows on the moon are darker than any on Earth, black like unfinished thought. When the sun rises on the moon, it takes nearly 2 Earth weeks to set. Moon dust clings to everything, jagged as glass, sharp enough to cut gloves. The moon's surface is covered in a fine powder of pulverized rock, regolith, created by billions of years of impacts. Beneath that dust lies stillness, no atmosphere, no erosion, only the memory of collisions. The first human words spoken from her surface were simple. Houston, Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed. The last were a promise. We leave as we came, and God willing, as we shall return, with peace and hope for all mankind. No sound traveled between them, only radio waves through the void. The moon does not orbit Earth perfectly. She wobbles slightly, tracing a looping dance called libration. Her orbit is elliptical. She's 26,000 miles closer at perigee than at apogee. When the moon is closest, she appears 14% larger, the so-called supermoon. The word moon is one of the oldest in the Indo-European language family, older than the word for mother. Our months come from her name, Munzer. Without the moon, life on Earth might never have stabilized enough to evolve beyond bacteria. She slowed Earth's spin, calmed its climate, and wrote the prelude to consciousness. The moon doesn't orbit perfectly around Earth. Both orbit a common point in space, a shared balance called the barycenter. Even in separation, every relationship has a center of gravity. Close your eyes, feel how steady the night is. The same pulse that shaped ancient tides still hums beneath your skin. We are, all of us, lunar creatures. Our biology carries her rhythm, our thoughts her reflections, our dreams her orbit. The moon has no wind, yet her dust moves, lifted by static charge, leaping like silver mist between day and night. If you dropped a feather and a hammer on her surface, they would hit the ground together. Gravity, unmasked by air. Astronaut David Scott proved it in 1971. The hammer and the feather fell side by side, then silence claimed them both. Her temperature swings from 260 degrees in daylight to 280 degrees at night. The same rocks endure both extremes without complaint. Patience as geology. When meteoroids strike her, no sound is made, yet seismometers feel the quake for hours. The moon rings like a bell, not from air, but from tension. Every crater on her surface is both wound and record. The largest South Pole Aitken Basin is over 1,600 miles wide and 8 miles deep, an ancient scar too vast to see from Earth. The smallest craters are microscopic, shaped by dust no larger than pollen. She is a palimpsest, a page written, erased, and written again by time itself. Her dust may one day build homes. Future settlers could 2D print walls from regolith. Her soil is rich in helium-2, a potential fuel for fusion, the energy of stars sleeping in silence. 1 ton of lunar soil contains more potential energy than a nuclear warhead. The moon may one day light our cities again, not through reflection, but through reclamation. Her surface holds time capsules, tools, flags, footprints, family photos, human fossils of ambition. A single flag still stands upright, though bleached white by sunlight. Earth's gravity holds her in place, but our gaze holds her meaning. The moon has been painted more than any other celestial body in history. In art, she is constant change, and in science, she is changing constancy. When the moon is full, she's opposite the sun, perfectly aligned, yet unseen by him. That's why she glows brightest when most distant from his gaze. Every culture that worshipped the sun also feared the moon, and every culture that feared the sun worshipped the moon. She has been called Selene, Diana, Hecate, Ixchel, Chandra, Tsukuyomi, Mahina, and Mani. Her names are spells, her silence the answer. There are moonbows, rainbows lit by moonlight, faint, white, and nearly invisible. Wolves don't actually howl at the moon, they howl with her. The moon's reflection in water is never quite her own. It trembles, reminding us that perception is motion. When viewed from the poles, the moon never rises nor sets. She circles the horizon like a shy ghost. Her shape in the sky depends on geometry, not emotion. But tell that to a poet. She has seen every war, every prayer, every birth, yet she never turned her face away. Time on the moon moves slightly faster than on Earth, by about 4 to 58 seconds per second. A lunar clock would drift 1 second ahead every 6 years. The moon is our natural satellite, but also our psychological one, orbiting thought itself. We have mapped her surface more precisely than our own oceans. Yet we still find mystery there, not in distance, but in recognition. The moon's age, 4.521 billion years, older than almost all living memory, younger than wonder. Her orbit defines the rhythm of eclipses, tides, and even evolution. Without her, Earth might spin too fast, storms too fierce, and life too brief. She is our first and quietest guardian. In ancient nights, people believed lunar eclipses were monsters devouring her light. They would shout, drum, and pray until she reappeared. Those who shouted were right in their way. Fear and faith have always been the same telescope. The moon makes poets of scientists and scientists of poets. When Galileo first looked through his telescope, he saw not perfection, but imperfection, and found beauty there. The moon teaches that flaws can glow. She is a symbol of love, not because she shines, but because she endures. The light that touches your face tonight has crossed 250,000 miles, a patient traveler bearing news from the past. Every human who ever lived has seen the same moon, though none have seen her in quite the same way. When humanity is gone, her reflection will continue, the last visible memory of us in the dark. The moon will fade, the earth will cool, the sun will die, but the light between them will travel forever. Breathe in. The air you draw was once moved by tides the moon created. Breathe out. The light that falls through your window tonight is 2.6 seconds old and 4.5 billion years in the making. You are part of the same geometry. Dust held by gravity, reflecting borrowed light. You too are lunar.